We bring you the latest updates from the Pna Newsroom. Filipino fishermen will remain free to fish at the contested West Philippine Sea. This is maintained by President Ferdinand R. Marcos before departing for Switzerland. He clarified that Manila and Beijing already had an agreement in which China will not stop Filipino fishermen from fishing in the fishing grounds they have used for many generations. Earlier this month, Marcos went to China and had a fruitful meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Both leaders agreed to find a solution and compromise to protect the livelihood of Filipino fishermen. They also sought to avoid any misunderstanding on maritime issues by establishing a direct communication between the Department of Foreign Affairs and China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Lawmakers question the Department of Agriculture over its importation plan amid the skyrocketing price of onions in the market. The senators expressed their dismay during the hybrid hearing of the Committee on Agriculture, Food, and Agrarian Reform. The details from Marita Moahe.
Lawmakers are one in saying that the Department of Agriculture needs improvement when it comes to handling the issue of soaring prices of onions in the market. During the hearing, senators pointed out their observations and questioned the DA's move to import the product when interventions must have to be made earlier. For Senator Amy Marcos, the soaring retail price of onions is a result of poor planning by the Department of Agriculture. Marcos pointed out that the onion shortage could have been averted if the DA had made a timely and well-projected minimal importation. She also suspected treachery and manipulation as the retail price has soared during the last few months.
It's only been this year that onions and the price of onions have taken us on this mad roller coaster ride that we have endured in the last few months. In April at 60 pesos per kilo, in December, and until very recently, 760 pesos per kilo. It is apparent that there is an abject lack of planning, therefore. As stated by the chairwoman, importation would have solved this, a very minimal importation, in fact, would have solved this if it had been timely and well projected.
Senator Grace Poe also expressed frustration over the delayed response of DA on the issue but became suddenly ready with its calibrated importation plan. She questioned the DA for not coming up with this intervention before prices soared to as high as 700 pesos per kilo.
Dumating tayo sa punto na mas mahal na ang 1 kilo ng sibuyas kaysa sa minimum wage natin. 600 to 750 ang kilo ng sibuyas. That was about 3 times as expensive as chicken and 25 to 50% more expensive than pork or beef. Noong umalma tayo, biglang dumating ang supply para mapababa ang presyo. Simula kahapon, mabibili na daw sa halagang 150 pesos ang kilo ng sibuyas galing sa Bayambang. Magkakaroon na rin daw ng calibrated importation depende sa supply. Ang tanong, bakit hindi ito naisip bago pa pumalo ang presyo ng sibuyas na di makatarungang halaga?
Senator J.V. Ejercito is also present during the hearing, asked agriculture officials about the implementation of the Anti-Agricultural Smuggling Act of 2016. He stressed the seriousness of the spike in local onion prices. He also expressed regret over how authorities quickly acted on the reported attempts by crew members of a local airline company to smuggle some 40 kilograms of onions and fruits, while big-time cartels and smugglers easily get away with their smuggled agricultural products.
Eye-opener na po ito para sa akin na yung mga pal crew nakakaawa. 2 kilograms, 1 kilograms with a value of $100 and $150. 4,000 pesos, million yung nakakalusot sa smuggling at iba pa. Di ba? Ito papatulan natin. Pero yung mga big time na cartel, smuggler, protector, nakakalusot. I feel bad, Madam Chair, because as we author, hindi madali magpasa ng batas. The Anti-Agricultural Smuggling Law was designed to protect our farmers. Lahat. Sa bigas, sa asukal, sibuyas, lahat na po, bawang. 6 years after its enactment, parang wala pa akong naririnig na big-time smuggler na napapakulong.
Meanwhile, the chairperson of the Committee on Agriculture, Food and Agrarian Reform, Senator Cynthia Villar, said there must be no shortage of onion based on DA's onion supply and demand. She said that even if there was a deficiency of more than 2,000 metric tons of onions last year, there was a surplus of 53,202 metric tons in 2021.
Kasi nagmahal noong 2022 because they said there was a shortage. But there is an oversupply in 2021 of 53,000. So even if there's a deficiency of 30,000, it's more than covered by the oversupply in 2021. So, and according to the report, these are the smuggled onions confiscated and intercepted by the Bureau of Customs. It's 947 metric tons. But that's irrelevant. So we would say that we don't have really a shortage to cause an increase in price.
Meanwhile, Senator Raffy Tulfo urges officials of the Department of Agriculture to support local onion farmers and to identify areas that are suitable for onion growing. Tulfo said the DA should stop the importation of onions as local onion growers complained of oversupply during the Christmas season, but was only hoarded and sold at exorbitant prices by traders. He said a representative from the San Jose Mindoro Farmers Group disclosed that they were forced to sell onions at a cheaper price for only 6 to 8 pesos per kilo due to lack of cold storage in their area. These onions were sold at 350 pesos in Metro Manila in November.
Bang nasa pag-iisip palagi ng mga taga-DA is import, import, import. Bakit? Kasi pag sa importation, may kita, may mga lagay. Siyempre, pag nag-issue ng permit, may kunting padulas. Dapat, as much as possible, we should stop thinking about importation. I-develop natin, i-encourage natin yung mga farmers natin na magtanim.
For the PNA Newsroom, I am Marita Muaje.
Congress has increased this year's budget for the Armed Forces of the Philippines Modernization Program by 6 billion pesos, raising the total new budget to 45 billion pesos. Surigao del Sur Representative Johnny Pimentel said the 2023 national budget includes 27.5 billion pesos in programmed appropriations plus 17.5 billion pesos in unprogrammed appropriations. Programmed appropriations have funding sources, whereas unprogrammed ones allow the Department of National Defense to sign additional contracts depending on available funds. Pimentel said they are supporting the AFP's modernization as part of the efforts to counteract the swarming of Chinese vessels around Pag-asa Island. From December 2021 to June 2022, the Defense Department signed 109 billion pesos worth of contracts for the AFP-MP, including the purchase of 2 anti-ship, anti-submarine, and anti-aircraft corvettes, 3 shore-based supersonic ramjet missile batteries, Black Hawk choppers, and offshore patrol vessels. In other news, oil companies are set to implement a new fuel price adjustment starting tomorrow, January 17. In separate advisories, Shell, Clean Fuel, and Sea Oil announced a 95 centavo increase in the price of gasoline per liter and 50 centavos per liter for diesel. On the other hand, there will be a 15 centavo rollback on the price of kerosene. Industry experts said the adjustments are due to the continued movement of oil prices in the world market. Oil companies increased prices of fuel on the first week of January, followed by a rollback last week. And those are the latest and the biggest stories from the PNA Newsroom. For more news content, visit our webpage or head onto the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. We are also shown on the social media pages of the Presidential Communications Office and on Radio Pilipinas RP1. Stay tuned for more news updates. I am William Theo. We tell stories that inspire change. Good day, everyone.